Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 15. It's our quinceañera of the Game Groofs podcast.
Quinceañera, I didn't even get us a gift.
The all-encompassing weekly gaming podcast from us, the Goodnight Groofs. My name is Matt, and today I'm joined by Paul and Josh. No Mike today. We'll see him next week, hopefully. Guys, let's jump right into it. The peak of the week. Instead of just asking you guys how you're doing this week, I want to ask everyone what their peak of the week has been. So, what's the best thing that happened to you this week, Paul?
Best thing that happened to me this week? Well, you know what? There's a lot of answers out there, I'm sure I could say, but I will say something I talked to you about earlier in the week, and that is my porch package I got. Went to a local farmer's market-y kind of thing. It's like a hobby farm, and they also have a nice market. And in that, I managed to get, like I had to describe what a farmer's market is, and managed to get something they called the porch package. So they had a mini one, but that's for squares. This was $50 Canadian, which, you know, got me 2 large-sized pumpkins, 10 corn stalks, 6 gourds, a straw bale, and 2 fall mums, all for $50. So feeling pretty good. Got that, loaded it up in the car. We went to I went to a drive-through at McDonald's after, and it looked like we had knocked over the Great Pumpkin or something. All the people in there were like, what did you do? Like, did you just attack a farm? Like, what is the back of your sedan, your Honda Civic filled with corn stalks and pumpkins?
10 corn stalks in the sedan.
It was a lot. There's a hay bale back there. So anyway, we got it home, set up the porch. It's lovely. It got me really in the mood for Halloween. And I've got that kind of dad vibe now too, where I'm just like, everyone I meet, I'm like, $50? Can you believe all this for 50? Like, I'm just like, the value. It's amazing. The value. I mean, we'll talk about value again later today. Patreon.com/GoodnightGroofs. But yeah, there's a lot of value there in the porch package, and I'm glad to have gotten it.
Yeah, it's like a loot crate, but for farmers.
Yeah,
it is, honestly.
I saw
they were very nice about it too. Like, they were just like, okay, you bought it. Like, I buy it at the checkout, and then they're like, okay, go out there and grab your stuff. Like, do whatever. Like, I could have grabbed 3 pumpkins. I could have grabbed 2 hay bales. No one was watching.
A madman, a true villain on our hands.
Honestly, the value there, crazy.
Yeah, that's great. 50 Canadian for in the South in the U.S. You're lucky if you can get 2 pumpkins for 50 U.S.
Yep.
Josh, your peak of the week. What's the best thing that happened to you this week?
You know, in the batshit crazy work week I've had, at the very least, I've been able to come home and play a new MMO, which is something I've not been able to say for a long ass time. New World's been a damn blast, and I'm going to talk about it more at the Watercooler, but god damn, it's been fun, it's been refreshing, and just being able to come home and just sit back just like a degenerate and just play a new MMO and just pour all my hours into it has just been wonderful.
You know, I won't copy you because that would have been my pick as well. You don't get you don't get a new MMORPG launch, you know, every other week. It's kind of a once in a blue moon sort of thing. Probably even rarer. How often is a blue moon? I actually don't know. How often? Does
I feel like I've never seen one.
Never. Okay, well, so pretty rare. All right. My peak of, I guess, the last 2 weeks is that our Kana Bridge of... I've played the game, and I've watched stuff about the game. I reviewed the game, and I keep going to say Kenna. It's Kana.
This just in. I have to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. This is really important, though. Blue moons every 2 to 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's actually rarer than I thought.
Couldn't wait.
I've got some in the fridge. What do you mean?
And the last one was last Halloween.
Ooh, I love that. That's cool. Anyway... My peak of the last 2 weeks was our Kana Bridge of Spirits review and the Deathloop review. Both are out right now on the YouTube channel, so check those out. All right.
Sable review coming soon, maybe.
Is it? I haven't gotten an update from you lately. Is it coming soon? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. I'm working on a Far Cry 6 review as well.
Perfect.
All right.
We'll see what comes out first.
We kind of... My money's on Far Cry 6. All right, trending topics. In trending topics, I give our panelists a choice between 3 search terms. They have to tell me which term they think got the most searches over the last 7 days. That's less than a blue moon. Via stats from Google Trends. We'll play 3 quick rounds here. All right, round 1. Sora, Master Chief, or Tom Clancy?
It's Sora. It's got to be.
Tom Clancy.
Absolutely not. It was Sora.
I don't know.
All right.
Was Tom Clancy second at least?
I think Master Chief was a far second, and Tom Clancy didn't even register.
God damn it. I thought he'd have some book fans. All right.
Who reads books? All right, round 2.
Very true.
New World, World of Warcraft, or Final Fantasy 14?
And New World.
New World.
It's got to be.
World of Warcraft.
Oh, shit, I didn't think about it. Wow, it's so relevant.
By a hair. Yeah, it was one tick higher on the bar graph.
Damn.
Probably the last week for a while that they'll even be close.
And
that was a slight to New World, not to WoW.
Probably, to be honest. That's just how things go. All right. Final round, Halloween, Thanksgiving, or Christmas?
Halloween.
I'll give it to Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween. It's definitely Halloween. It wasn't even close. Thanksgiving
right,
barely registered. Christmas was on there like a sliver, but yeah, it was Halloween.
The Slim Josh win.
You know, gotta take it away sometimes. Usually I suck dick at these games, so victories when I get them.
Mike's not here to sweep, so
actually
we have a chance.
All right, we're going to move on to the big question. I warned the guys that my blurb today is the longest it's ever been for a Game Groofs episode. Now, it's not absurdly long, but it is about a page of a Google Doc. So I'm going to take a sip here before I get into this thing.
It's a little video essay, an audio essay, video essay here.
Yep. Grab your popcorn, boys.
Think of it like an audiobook.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like how you can go to a page on like a online newspaper and they can like read you the article?
Yeah, but it's always like a robot doing it. Are you going to read it in that voice?
No. I'll do my best in Microsoft Sam.
Blizzard Entertainment. Yeah.
All right, here we go. The big question. Over the last 2 weeks, World of Warcraft has seen some changes hit the PTR for the next major patch. About a month ago, the /spit emote was removed from both retail and classic. Following those changes, we saw the in-game paintings of women being changed to bowls of fruit. Then, the big love rocket was renamed, along with other items, some NPC characters, in-game locations, and quest names. In addition, male demons have replaced some female demons in-game, and Warlock players will be granted a glyph to have access to an incubus demon instead of the normal succubus. Now, a couple days ago, we learned that a large number of /joke and /flirt emotes are being removed as well, some of which are iconic fan favorites. This is all part of a larger effort from individuals on the WoW dev team to update references throughout the game. A statement from the team came out last week, and it reads as follows. Over the last few weeks, artists and writers across the WoW team have updated a small number of old quests, art assets, names, and dialogue that we identified as outdated and inconsistent with our values as a team. These updates are a relatively small part of a comprehensive company-wide effort to improve the WoW team and Blizzard as a whole, but they're important to us as developers. In early August, we set up internal channels where the WoW team could share feedback on content that doesn't represent who we are as a team today. During this time, we also gathered a great deal of feedback from players on practically every aspect of the game. The player feedback influenced many gameplay improvements we're working on for patch 9.1.5, and our internal feedback identified some in-game content that is inconsistent with our goal of building an inclusive and welcoming game world. In a game that has thousands of art elements and a word count in the millions, we recognize that these updates will amount to very few total changes overall. Nonetheless, we believe these changes are worthwhile. World of Warcraft is meant to evolve over time, and every day new players from every walk of life in every corner of the world experience our in-game content for the very first time. As a team, we want the world they see to stand as an expression of our talents and principles. Goofy jokes and occasional mature innuendos are a part of WoW, and probably always will be. Still, we want to remain mindful of whether certain elements of that world are welcoming to all players. In short, we want our jokes to be inclusive and not punched down. The statement goes on to explain the difficulty behind the logistics of actually implementing these changes and that they'll be adding further character customization options soon. Statements from individual devs on Twitter say that they're doing these things for themselves, not necessarily for the players. Now, this leads us to the question. While a few of these changes actually seem smart and reasonable, like giving warlocks additional options for their demon pets, the majority of them seem silly and misplaced in a game built around a violent world of different races at war with each other. What are your general thoughts on these recent changes, and how far do we think these changes are going to go? What does this tell you about the future of World of Warcraft? I can't believe I got through that whole thing without stumbling, so let's get right into the...
Let's go.
Very good. Beautiful.
Thank you, sir.
Beautifully written.
All right, so let's get into the question here. Paul, what are your general thoughts on these changes? How far do you think the changes are going to go?
Can I cede my place? I just feel like Josh has a bit more of a rant vibe going on here, and I feel like I have a few more critical points I'd like to make, and I feel like we should just like let Josh loose, and then I can kind of, and then I might want to kind of critically jump in. Is that okay? Do we is this an okay order of things, Josh?
I'm entirely down with it. So I guess, oh boy, golly gee, where do I even want to start? Because I didn't want to write this down because I'm very passionate about it, and writing it down is not going to do the justice it deserves from a pretty much 15-year WoW veteran that I am.
Yeah, off the dome.
So let's just be clear here. Any of the changes that are being made, like the Incubus, for example, like great, perfect. Anything that adds to the game, wonderful, perfect. I'm happy with those decisions, and I think those are great. However, as we have slowly moved along and continued on this road after the first few initial changes that they've made, it's just been a slippery slope from this point on. I feel like whereas the initial changes, clearly removing people who were 100% in the wrong, Afrasiabi, get him out, take all this stuff out there. Even Jesse McCree, I get it. Like changing his name in Overwatch, while this is separate from WoW, I even to that level understand and kind of get it. I mean, it's just straight up his name. And same for, the Macquarie zone in Argus in the Legion expansion. I get it. That said, I am not a conspiratorial Andy by any stretch of the imagination. I generally think conspiracies are out there and wild. But from everything I've seen from Blizzard up to this point, when are we stopping at this point? When do we say, when do these changes that they've been making that to my mind I generally disagree with a hefty majority of them, when does it begin to almost tilt over and begin to affect the actual storytelling in the game and affect what is effectively a game called World of Warcraft? I mean, it's literally in the goddamn title of the game. And at what point do we say the story is being harmed due to these retroactive changes that have been made throughout the course of the game's long history? And I think that's something we have to look at and consider. I think that's something that could genuinely be affected at one point, because it's clear to me that certain people are now within positions of power within the company, because it seems like Blizzard have given people this opportunity to voice their opinions, which is good. Don't get me wrong. If you can voice your opinion, fantastic, great. I'm happy for you. However, what they've done is gone from taking these opinions and shit canning them to going the complete 180 opposite direction and running with whatever opinion anyone is given, no matter how ridiculous. Let's take one example. Masturbator. I want to pose a question to you two here. Male, female, whatever have you. Do both people, basically everyone masturbates? Am I wrong? No. Pretty much everyone, in a majority sense, basically.
It's a largely universal thing.
Yeah, I think that's
why remove it? It's just a silly sexual innuendo. And then I would take you back to, obviously there may be some references that may have been used towards someone by a dev a long time ago. But I would implore you, a character named like Masturbator, like it's clearly just a juvenile like joke. Like that's just kind of what it is. And I know I'm kind of ranting at this point. So Paul, I'm going to throw it to you if you kind of have anything at this point, and then I'll just step in as needed, to kind of get us rolling here.
Before I get fully into my points, and I don't want to harp on this for too long, but I think it's interesting to go. Yes, Masturbator is a juvenile joke. It's such a juvenile bad joke that, is it even necessary? Did you find it funny? Is it that funny? I don't know. Something to think about. Anyway, but I don't disagree. I also don't disagree with you that it's mostly harmless, but it's a lot of stuff. I think that's one of the issues that I want to talk about is I don't think the devs know where they're going. I don't think the devs have decided what they want to do. And I think that's a big part of this. So right off the top, I have a couple disclaimers I want to say. First off, just for anyone who may be listening, I know we don't have a huge listener base, but just want to make it clear. We're all a bunch of dudes. So it's really hard for us to talk and really have it, very reasonable sexual assault or sexual harassment experience stuff here. So, obviously we're going to come at it from our angle, but obviously we can't really speak to what it feels like to be a woman and encountering some of this stuff.
Very true.
But obviously, important to keep that in mind. We are not the closing voice on this. But yeah, I think in general, these are two separate issues. That's the most egregious thing to me. These shouldn't be compared. And I know Blizzard isn't saying they are. They're saying they're separate issues. But let's be honest. We saw sexual harassment allegations. We saw, all these misconduct allegations. We could just go on forever, but there's clear issues within the corporate structure of Blizzard for years. And that is completely, to me, unrelated to the issue of changing the tone of the game. I don't think those should be put together. Is it valid to say maybe let's take a look at the tone of the game, maybe because we've seen this, or is it worth going through on a separate note and seeing if we want to change that tone? Sure, maybe you want to change the way that the audience you're pointing the game to, maybe. But I don't think those should be put together, and I think it's really shameful that Blizzard is clearly trying to go, hey, we're going to go and change a bunch of stuff in this game. Look how cool we are. Look how woke we are. We've changed it. And maybe some of these changes might be good, but like, fuck you for, making it seem like that's the change you're going to make to fix your corporate structure. The game is completely unrelated to the way you run your business. Those shouldn't be put in the same sentence. And it's annoying that we have to it's annoying that we have to talk about them as if they are, because that's how Blizzard's putting them out.
Right. And let me jump. You got the list. So let me just jump on the one thing that you just said there.
Go ahead. Yeah, anytime.
The way that these two things are being connected, and what Josh was saying about how devs now have basically free reign to make these decisions. This is Blizzard placating the dev team at the expense of the people who are paying them to play this game, it feels like. Like, this is such a weird way to go about this. It's such a strange way to go about it.
It's weird timing, and it just looks uncomfortable. Like, again, if you want to do it this way, this is something you could have an open conversation with the community about. But what happened was they started removing first and asking questions later, and trying to talk about it later. And I don't think that was the way to go about it. But anyway, I'll get more into that. So right off the bat, I just want to say, and I think this is an issue, why it somewhat connects is this idea that, even though Afrasiabi's gone, or other people have left over the years, ultimately their mark is made on this game. And let's get into a quick moment where we talk about sexual humor. I think it can be both good and bad sexual content, but I think largely in history, especially in media, it can be exploitative to women. And it's not always. I'm not saying all sexual humor is, but I'm just saying that can happen. And we look at a game that was, let's be honest, a game made by immature dudes. Some of them harassers, some of them not, most of them not. But a bunch of immature bros in the early 2000s, 4 other immature bros to play a game. WoW was made for dudes to hang out. It doesn't feel women centric to me, especially early WoW. Especially because that was the market for video games, especially more so 20 years ago.
Especially MMORPGs.
Especially MMORPGs. So, and these sweaty nerds playing MMORPGs. So I think it's a game made by dudes for dudes, especially back then, where a lot of these legacy flirts and jokes are from. And I think it's fair to say some of this humor was probably propagated, created by some of these people who were like Afrasiabi, like Jeff Kaplan, like people who maybe were toxic presences. I'm not saying Kaplan was necessarily a toxic presence. I'm just saying people who may have been involved in early WoW.
Well, we know that Kaplan had a crude sense of humor, like based on his past as well. So,
and so for me, it's partly one of those cultural things, right? Like, my thing is like, yeah, a lot of these jokes seem fine to us, and maybe some of them are, and it's hard to find that line of what is fine. But I do think there's moments where, and I'm not trying to say that this is an appropriate time to look at this, but I do think there's some of these jokes and these flirts and things could be fine to us, but might be something that might make a woman feel excluded or might make someone feel uncomfortable. I'm not saying we should like change everything because of that, but it might be something. I understand wanting to make an inquiry, especially now, like you've said before, Matt, this is a totally different team, and they've said this is not the team that made the first game. This is a Ship of Theseus thing, and there's like nobody left that made the original WoW, really. And so especially at upper levels. And so, this might be something where the team goes, hey, we have a different vision for how we want this game to be. We don't necessarily want this game to be crude bro jokes from the early 2000s. We want it to be different. Are these jokes going to kill someone? Probably not. Definitely. I would say mostly not. But But are they something that might exclude a certain group from feeling like they're part of the game or feeling that the game is catered to them? I don't know. But so I don't know. We look at some of these jokes, like, you get all these like jokes like, some of them are nothing, but then you get like goblin male jokes like, I got what you need, and there's a sound of him unzipping his pants. That's a really like there's a lot more examples of jokes like this in WoW than there are jokes that are like objectifying men or making like a man like a pro sexy man statement. Even the female jokes are a lot of the time are like talking about my rack, or like giving like the torn one, like giving dudes like oral pleasure or something. Go ahead.
Not to just completely I guess the main question I would have though is how many people, because I'm just exclusively going off public opinion that I've read, through social WoW Reddit,
sure,
interactions in WoW, whatever, what have you. How many people actually had an issue with that though, that aren't just being pushed by the WoW dev team? And while obviously the people making the game are important, at what point do we continue to placate these people just because they're upset at one particular joke, even though the rest of the people no longer have an issue with it? Well, I agree. Some of them are crude and just silly as shit. I'm reading through them right now, kind of, as we talk.
Some are pretty gross.
And some, I will agree, you're just like,
some
okay, this is
nasty.
Clearly like a 2000s joke. I don't really care too much for it to be gone. But I think that's the main thing I'm seeing is who asked for it to begin with.
So that's kind of my point, and I just want to jump on and say, like, I think that's a thing where it's about the culture, and where it's just like maybe no one asked for it, but that's because all the people who would have asked for it aren't playing the game in the first place because maybe they feel excluded in the game. That's a leap, a huge leap, and I'm willing to make it.
Let me jump on that. Not every piece of media is for everyone. Does WoW have to be for everyone? I don't know.
I think that's a thing. And WoW's a world, and I think that's fair, though. I think the way they position WoW is that it's kind of this big open world where you can be whoever you want. And I think when the culture and the humor in the game, not always, I'm just saying there are parts where we might see, oh, hey, there might be like an Insidious or lower level where a lot of the kind of jokes and all the like, hey, this game is full of like tongue-in-cheek humor. But when we start looking at it, and like a lot of the tongue-in-cheek humor seems to be bro humor, and like kind of like some of it maybe kind of like objectifying specifically of women but not men. I'm not saying it's 100% that, but I'm just saying that's something to look at, and I understand the stance of wanting to take a look at some of this and go through it, and maybe some of this stuff doesn't need to be there, wasn't helpful. That's the problem, and I agree with that's where it brings me to one of my final points here, Josh, is I agree with what you said. It's the removing is the problem. It's not changing, it's removing. And I think that's the biggest problem. WoW hasn't decided, the devs haven't decided what they want WoW to be, and then they're just cutting without adding, and that's a big problem. The biggest problem here, and this is what I said, I feel like they don't know what the direction they're trying to take is here. Is it clean and friendly, or is it separate but equal, or sexy but equal, is what I wrote.
Right.
Are we going to keep it as sexy, like with having little sexy jokes in here that are sex, but it's more like even like the incubus succubus thing? Are we going to do more of that? Well, we haven't seen that because all they did is take away jokes indiscriminately, without really saying, hey, we're going to have jokes, but the jokes will be a little more light. The jokes won't be as dirty, or the jokes might be dirty, but we're going to add more like women objectifying man jokes. I'm not saying everything has to be exactly fucking, but they could add things and change things and say, hey, we want it to be more inclusive, so this is how we're going to make it. But instead what they're doing is they're removing any flavor to the game because to make it inclusive. And I don't think it should be just bro flavor, but then in that scenario, figure out what you're going to do and figure it out. Either take away some of the dirty jokes and add clean jokes, or keep dirty jokes, but add, more separate, more equal, gender specific, sexy jokes to make it feel a little more inclusive. I don't know exactly what the move is here, but I think the number one issue is that they haven't decided what they're going to do with the damn game, and all they're doing is cutting. And I think a lot of people just say, hey, slippery slope, we're losing a bunch of stuff that makes the game great. And I think it's worth sitting there and looking and going, did this stuff really make the game great, or do we just need something else to fill that hole that would make the game great still? But we need something there, and all they're doing is taking.
I will say that at least early on, it may have been a forgotten aspect of WoW in the last decade, but that was very much a part of Warcraft and WoW early on. And to your point,
specifically what?
Silly innuendo references, not even just like innuendos, but always silly joke references of any kind in quest names and in character names and all that kind of stuff. To your point about adding instead of removing, why can't we have /joke 1 and /joke 2? Add a new option. Like, okay, someone has to go into a room and write a new joke. All right,
Yeah.
You guys, you're developers, you're game developers. Instead of taking something away, add something.
They're just like, this game isn't the game that we made. The old devs made it and we want to make it ours. Okay, well then make it yours. Don't just take what they did. And I'm not saying there are things that they did that may not be what you align with how you want the game to be. That's fine, but do something else.
And I think that's an issue where they're going to honestly start running into with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of segue into that point with saying you're going to alienate people who've played your game for a long time.
Yep.
I have a deep love for WoW. I fucking love WoW. And even New World releasing aside, this is killing my interest in WoW. I no longer feel like the devs are interested in creating a game for people that want to play their fucking game. It feels more like they're just, trying to appease a certain audience. It feels performative. And while I do think it could be a cultural thing, and to an extent it is, I think that it largely is performative bullshit. And I think that on the whole, they're going to end up doing more harm than good in the long run.
I think that's a super good point, because I am saying, like, I think it's a valid thing, and I think it is if they meant it with any sort of actual sincerity. But I agree with you that I think Blizzard's take on this is so far seems performative. That might change, and they might come out and actually make a sincere effort to change the game to a vision that they like, and that might be something that is worth doing. But I agree with you that this seems performative, and so at that point, it's not great, because they're probably just going to introduce more weird bullshit.
Just write some new shitty jokes, like just something silly to like backfill or replace it. Like even the new items they've renamed aren't even clever or funny. Like like bros before ho-ho-hos. Okay, I get it. It's you can get that one out of there. I understand. As Frosty Obby himself probably wrote that one in there. He was a quest designer at the time, but. Like my sack is gigantic. Come on, dude. It's just ball sack joke. It's like I'm getting into my ranty phase. What'd you have, Matt?
My problem is I need more information about what's happening here. Are we changing? Is something being changed because one dev is the one person in the world who's uncomfortable by a line in the game, or is this a committee, or what is going? I need to have more information here, because if one dev finds one line uncomfortable, and that's changing something in a game that has been played by millions and millions of people, what are we doing? Why are we appeasing one person?
They follow a trend. If you look at most of these, there's a couple that are pretty on the line that are almost nothing. It's like, why was that removed? That doesn't even have any weird innuendo. It's nothing. But I think there is a trend here of like pretty blue humor of the ones that are taken out. And I'm not saying that like, but I think there is a trend. I don't think it's like one person flagged it, so that's it. I mean, that might be, but I'm just saying, like, it certainly seems like they kind of went through and looked at all of the things that kind of fit a certain category. It certainly doesn't feel like someone just out of the blue grabbed a line that didn't make any sense with the rest of them.
I would like specific explanations for maybe groups of changes, like the character. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. I can't remember how to pronounce it. King Yirmiron or something. The guy in the warrior class hall.
Yep.
You're taking out lines that have nothing to do with any sort of innuendo. They're bleeps.
That one was fucking stupid.
It's a hilarious line. It's an iconic line from that warrior order hall. What are we doing? Like, the joke has been thrown out that the game is now becoming from Make Love Not Warcraft, the South Park episode, Butters, Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing here? What is the, like Paul said, what is the direction? What is the devs' direction in doing this? Because it's all over the place. There's no consistency.
If they just communicated what the future that they're working toward is, at least we could decide what we want, or if we want to even continue playing the game or being interested in that. If they go ahead and say, hey, we want the game to be cleaner and be less about like crude sex jokes, well, that's their choice. That's their right. And at that point, we can decide if that's something we think matters to the game, and that's up to us, and we can decide that when it happens. But is it like, hey, we don't mind that, but we want them to be a certain way, or we want them to fit be more inclusive in terms of dirty sex jokes? Well, then say that, and then we can decide if that's important to us. But tell us what you're doing, as opposed to just removing and then saying, well, trust me, when we removed them, we made sure we like did a really good thing. We made sure we really went through it and made sure that everything being removed was removed for a reason. It's like, well, what reason, and what is happening next, and what are we doing with that? We just need to know what the final point is here, and what's going to.
It all feels very, very aimless. I would agree. And I just think they're just kind of shooting with a shotgun and just kind of hoping they hit something that people will agree with, and that it'll change their culture magically overnight. And I genuinely just hope it doesn't affect. I hope it doesn't affect the culture so much that they then suddenly decide that horrible war themes in their game all about war is suddenly bad and wrong. And that's very much tinfoil hattish. I completely agree.
I don't think that's going to happen, though, because
I think it'll happen, but
I just physical violence and sexual violence or sexual humor is like usually, especially when this game is like American and American culture is very like prudish to sex and very cool with violence. And it's not a judgment. That's just like the way the culture is. And so I think that I think most people see violence, physical violence, as being like that's a-okay, but sex stuff, whoa, okay, this is getting different. Yeah. And so can I just one last point, unless anyone else, or like not last point, but one point I'd like to make that I didn't bring up in my list is also like the issue with sex and judging what sex is. Is sex bad? Is sex good? I know we talked about on Replay the idea of like just that this wasn't even anything that was rumored, but just people talking, the scuttlebutt talking about removing the sex dungeon from Black Temple, whatever, like that area, the Den of Delights or whatever, right?
I talked about this a few weeks ago, and now it's potentially happening.
So you mentioned that, and then you said an interesting thing. You said like, well, you know what? This is the bad guys, and so it's like the bad guys are doing all this, so that makes sense because it's like bad guys doing bad guy stuff. And I wanted to make a point, and this isn't even like jumping on you, but I just think that like that's an interesting thing to say to hold water too, because kinky sex dungeon stuff shouldn't really necessarily even have to be what the bad guys do. Like it's not even like why it's like the idea that like, oh, the bad and that's kind of like on old WoW too, being like, oh, here's the bad guys, so they're into really fucked up shit. And it's like we don't have to be a bad guy to be into really fucked up shit.
Yeah, I mean, people fuck.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too to like look at. Right? I thought I just never mind.
The stork. It's the stork.
Yeah, the stork. Dude, I don't know what you're doing with storks, but leave them alone. They're protected species. Anyway, but honestly, I think that's an interesting point too that we talk about. Where's the line between what is offensive to women or offensive to someone, but also where's the line to like that sex even has to be offensive in certain scenarios. Rachel and I were talking. Rachel's helped me. We've kind of come up with some ideas here too, just because I want to take a look at this from all angles too. So it's hard because initially we were both like, this is really funny. What idiots? But I've tried to be a little critical about it, as you can probably tell. But it's hard to find the right line. But like talking about we go back to this a lot. The female painting that turned into the fruit. And that one I was like, initially the point was like, well, that's stupid, and then it flipped back to like, well, you know what, like that was an objectifying photo, and then image, and then it went to like, well, on the flip side though, maybe it's like, oh, this is like a seedy bar or a seedy house, and it's seedy because some guy's got like a seedy picture of a woman on the wall. But then also, why is that a seedy thing? And then it's like, it's just like a female body. It's supposed to be.
We also start to overthink these things.
Well, I agree, but I think it's like interesting to like consider, like, is that even like maybe that's
jokes on them. I'm turned on by fruit, so.
Oh, fair, yeah.
Exactly. Have you seen the grapefruit technique? But I mean, to get an actual woman's opinion in here that is not here. Zeppla, a really well-known Final Fantasy streamer, YouTuber. I recently actually watched her take on the whole fruit to woman scenario, and the woman, with her cleavage out, and then it just got turned into her being covered up. She was pissed. She was legitimately upset because she was like, she literally viewed it as her being a sexy badass and being someone that legitimately wants to, show her power by, showing her tits and showing what she's got and showing that she's like hot. And she wants to exude that power, and that's fucking great. Good for her.
That's where you get into the weird thing, and then you get into like a dude like me being like, "Well, it's exploitation," but is it exploitation, or is it like taking back, like against the stereotype? So it's so fucking tricky, and I think leaving everything in isn't the answer, but I also think ripping everything out isn't the answer. And I don't know what the answer is, but I think honestly they should have done all this behind fucking closed doors at first, and then maybe started like a global discussion of players, like you said, Josh. Like the player base should be, put into this.
Should be involved.
Players really don't give a fuck. Then maybe that's what it is. But I think maybe they should have internally said, "Hey, what do we think? What do we want the vision of the game to be? And then what do players want the vision of the game to be? And how can we coalesce that? Maybe work with women's groups and work with whatever groups and do whatever you gotta do." Yeah, I understand. Yeah, exactly. Maybe it's a big deal, but this is what you would do if you were sincere about it. I think that's really the undertone here. If you were sincere about making those changes, you don't have to make those changes. That's whatever. But if you were sincere about that being your objective here, then you would have done it in a very different way than just yanking shit out that mentions peepees and wee-wees. Honestly, I think that's just them being performative, like you said. So I think it is actually valid and interesting to consider going at this from a sincere angle. Not everyone everyone does, and that's fine. But I also think that Blizzard's not, so fuck it.
Yeah, they've turned a very, very, very gray issue into a black and white issue.
Yeah,
straight up. And
overnight, the PTR, and there it is.
It's just pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah.
Why this bothers me too, and you guys just talked about this, but people who have now played this game for 17 years, their opinion on all of this wasn't even considered when there are devs on the dev team now who are probably making these decisions who have maybe only even been alive a little bit longer than 17 years. So the players really should have been brought in on this conversation.
I've lived in this game since launch day, and I know I don't say this about every game, but WoW is a very unique example. I don't think there's been any game that's lived this long, that's been this active for 17 plus years, let a sequel, just one game, and a consistent world. And my character's 17 years old. I have a character that's 17 years old on there. He can almost vote, and he should be able to vote in this. I feel like I'm a denizen or a citizen of Azeroth in a way, and I think it matters. I think this, and again, ignoring all of the sexual issues in the company, the harassment issues in the company, because I just don't think these are the same issues. So throw those out. I think the changes in the game I think we should be consulted as a group, and I think we can't even guess what would happen because no one's asked us.
And what you said there really brings me to my main point in this whole thing. I think it's time for WoW 2. I think whether it's WoW 2 or it's just something totally new, whatever that could be, this game, exactly as you just said, Paul, and this is exactly how I had it written in my notes, the game has lived for too long. We haven't...
Culture changes. It's been 20 years.
Sure. Culture changes.
What are you going to do with that?
We haven't had to deal with a scenario like this before, with a game like this that has lived for so long.
World.
The original version from the dev team from the early 2000s is just not compatible with the dev team in 2021. And what they want out of the game today is totally different from what that dev team that started development in like 1999, what they wanted. It's completely different. I don't even mean necessarily like the crude jokes or innuendos or whatever. You can lump that in, but it's everything about the development of the game that is different now between the two teams. So there needs to be some sort of break or some sort of finale to WoW so that we can move on to something new. And then that kind of brings me to another point where these changes are also being made in WoW Classic. So originally you had the whole no changes crowd. There were some changes that were made in WoW Classic. They weren't major, I would argue, but there are other people there were issues where WoW Classic opened with, balance-wise, the final patch, which didn't really fit earlier on with other patches, and so I guess my question or my thought here is, should WoW Classic be experiencing these same changes, or is WoW Classic a relic of its time and just let it be, or should WoW Classic be lumped in with this? I don't know.
I don't know either. I think when it's a game they're still updating and servicing, that does reflect on the company. If that's something they actually care about or are worried about, that is something they're like continuing to. It's not like, oh, we sold it and it's already out there, so fuck it. It's something they actively support every month with servers. But also, maybe create a space for people who just want that, and then create a more inclusive space in another game. But then it looks bad that maybe they've created a space that isn't inclusive. But that's a goal for them. I don't know. I agree with you. WoW too, but fuck it. My point on that is Blizzard's never going to do it.
I don't
it's not because it costs way too much money. It doesn't make enough money when they can make money just with the same old bullshit. They can make Call of Duty every year and it doesn't matter. So I am talking about Activision Blizzard, of course.
Right. Well, WoW starts to fail, there will not be a WoW 2. WoW will just be shuttered, and the Blizzard team will be moved into things like Call of Duty.
Well, WoW will go free to play before it gets shuttered.
True, and the shop will be expanded.
Hilarious. But I will say, I think it's like a new company. That's really what it is. Like talking about, I mean, I don't want to sing the praises of Riot, but I agree with what you said before, Matt, that the League MMO feels like the closest to the trajectory of how Blizzard was before, the way they've made games and come along. And I think the Riot MMO might be the closest thing to a new WoW vibe out of MMOs. But I think we need to wait and see. But I agree. I think I'm gonna go back to Azeroth. I love the world. I'll probably resub at some point and fuck around and just be there, I guess. But ultimately, I feel like WoW as a consistent, real AAA game is dead. I think if they
It's
make
seasonal.
I think if they make another expansion, people will come in and play it. But ultimately, I don't know. I think we're losing steam. I think this was a big blow, and I really feel like I don't know if they're going to get that momentum back. Really,
I think they had a chance with 9.1.5 really saying, "Hey, we're listening to player feedback. We're listening to all these changes that should have been in the goddamn beta and alpha when they were all being told to people." But that's beside the point. But you almost go up against yourself and become hypocritical when you no longer listen to people who are clearly against all the changes you're making, or at least want some sort of feedback on it. And I tend to agree. I think I'm terribly upset by it, and I hate to talk about it, but I think we are. I want to be wrong on this. I want to eat crow. Please let me eat crow on this. I want a resurgence. I want WoW to blow the fucking doors off with 10.0 and to make a resurgence in a big way, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I just think it's going to keep being fine. Like, there's going to be a small bump in player base when the expansion comes up. People will play it. There'll be a small dedicated fan base, but I think it'll still be popular until there's something else. But I think the second fucking something else that really can do it comes along, and I'm not looking at something like New World that obviously is a very different vibe, but something like the Riot MMO, which we know nothing about. But I just feel like that has a WoW-ish vibe to what Riot's properties are like. They have a very old school Blizz vibe to them, and their art style and everything. I mean, hell, their main game is based on a Blizzard game. So I think ultimately, I mean, yeah, I think as soon as something that can really even slightly blow the socks off and fill that WoW hole, whatever that means.
They take that joke out of the game. What are you doing, Paul?
I'm sure that was something they said during Cube Crawls. Ultimately, that's terrible. Ultimately, I think that WoW will become something that I think most of the people playing WoW now are like, hey, I'm playing WoW and I love it, but also if something else came along, like, I would move. Like, I think if something else could do that for me, I'd leave or I'd come back cyclically. But I think most people are kind of feeling that die down.
Yeah,
that's why so many people jumped on Final Fantasy. They were like, "This is close. This is close enough, please." Like, I need something else to play that is active and still it's still young enough that there's something going on.
I really think that WoW just was too successful for so long, and it let so many people have these crazy egos, and it
killed a genre.
Yeah, and it killed a genre, and we just haven't seen anything like this. So a lot of people, were always looking for the WoW killers. In the end, it was only ever going to be WoW that was going to kill itself, or Blizzard essentially.
I think honestly, a WoW killer MMO that's like a WoW ripoff that actually has like a lot of money behind it now would do well. They made 1 million of them 12 years ago or whatever. Right. But I think now we actually got one from if we got like Warhammer Online, but now I think that would kill WoW. But we're not, because everyone gave up. Everyone gave up on putting AAA money behind MMOs because they're like, fuck it, we'll never beat WoW.
The Riot MMO is still probably a ways away. I'm probably like 2025 at earliest, but that, I think, that has the biggest potential to ever really be any sort of WoW 2. And we'll end with a quote from The Dark Knight: "You either die a hero, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain." All right, let's move on. After that was a good topic. That was a good discussion.
Good
I'm glad that we were able to finally talk about it. Because there was enough stuff that happened with it over the last 2 weeks. Claim a game. In Claim a Game, I give our panelists a choice between 2 games and ask them which one sold better or which one scored higher reviews. They have to claim one of the games. Review scores are taken from Metacritic and based on the best scoring launch platform. We'll play 8 rounds. The panelists can make the same claims, but whoever made the most correct choices at the end wins. We take matchup suggestions for Claim a Game from our $1 plus supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where you can message us your suggestion. Paul, what do you call that?
The value.
Call that the value. All right.
I call that porch package value right there.
There you go.
That's good.
All right. Round 1. More units. Horizon Zero Dawn or Ghost of Tsushima?
Son of a bitch. Horizon.
Correct. You were both correct.
Let's go.
10.7 million to 6.5 million. Higher score. Far Cry Primal or Far Cry New Dawn?
Oh.
New Dawn.
It's
got it. Primal's dog shit.
Primal was the worst.
Far Cry Primal 77. Far Cry New Dawn 75.
Yo,
Far Cry Primal got a 77.
Yo, literally in Far Cry Primal, you literally roleplayed a Neanderthal. What the fuck?
Yikes.
More
Return
units.
to Monk.
Fez or Monument Valley?
Monument Valley.
I have no clue what either of these fucking games are, so I'll just go against the grain. Fez.
Fez, 1 million. Monument Valley, 26 million.
They gave him away in Starbucks, baby.
Yeah, Monument Valley is getting a movie adaptation.
Are they really?
That's not even remotely close.
Interesting. Man, I like that not being remotely close too, because it did seem like a toss up because we're used to going toss ups, but that was great. I like having a bit of a.
I had no clue.
Originally, I had Fez and Braid, and I decided to just change it. Braid was like 650,000, so
much closer.
All right. Higher score: Rise of the Tomb Raider or Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
I'm going Rise.
I'm going Shadow.
Rise.
There we go.
86.
Keeping score, by the way, because we don't have Mike.
I am. Rise 86, Shadow 82. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, by the way, 7 points higher on the Xbox version than the PS4 version. That's so strange. 7 points. That's massive.
Interesting. That's a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. The score is currently 2-2.
Okay.
All right. More units: Prototype or Infamous?
Shit.
The original Infamous?
The original Infamous.
I'm gonna go Prototype.
Hey, go Infamous.
Prototype, 2.1 million. Infamous, 2 million.
Wow.
That was a close one there.
Stinky.
Higher score. So stinky.
Uh-oh, stinky over here.
Higher score: Cuphead or Hollow Knight?
Oh,
Cuphead.
Coming at me with two fucking 10 out of 10 games here. Ooh, I'm gonna go against the grain and say Hollow Knight.
So both of these were lower scores than I thought they were. And remember, these are the highest scoring platforms.
Oh, no.
Cuphead 88, Hollow Knight 87.
Cuphead got an 88 and Hollow Knight an 87. Yo, who is drunk as fuck reviewing video games?
I know.
Is IGN cube crawling? What is this?
It's like,
shit?
dudes, they're coming in with perfect games for their genres. Like, fuck yourselves.
More units: Dead Cells or Shovel Knight?
These are hard. These are
Shovel
really
Knight. Fuck it.
I'm gonna say Dead Cells. Fuck it.
Dead Cells 5 million. Shovel Knight 2.7 million.
Hey, Dead Cells was B.
All right, final round. We got.
Okay, so we can either tie. I can tie it, or Josh can win, right?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 1. Yes. Okay, you can tie it, or Josh can win. All right. Higher score: Limbo or Inside?
I'm gonna go with Inside.
I'm gonna go with Limbo.
Limbo 90, Inside 93.
I knew Donkey giving it praise would pay off for me in the long run.
I haven't played Limbo, but Inside is phenomenal.
Limbo was really fucking good.
Limbo was good, but Inside, I think, really evolved on that.
Like, if Limbo is a slow, almost puzzle platformer game that I like, you know it's got to be good. And I'm like a literal ape, so like, take that for what it's worth.
I love how they're able to tell story without actually telling story too. It's so
clever.
Genius. Congratulations, Josh, on your claim a game win.
Let's go!
Let's go.
Now that's the game that you always dominate, right?
I think
so. I'm gonna name that game is normally my thing, but we didn't have a name that game this week.
The Watercooler. Let's take a quick break around the Watercooler to discuss the games that we've been playing this week. Josh, I know you got something going on here, so we're just gonna hop right over to you. Tell us about New World.
You know what's funny? I've basically played nothing else. So I'll jump into the one game that I've played a little bit of before jumping into New World. I've picked Oblivion back up.
Oh yeah,
playing it a little on stream, and it's been fun. I've been enjoying it. It's a goofy fucking potato ass face game. New World though, god damn, New World has been a breath of fresh air. Is it incredible? Is it just the greatest thing I've ever played, like in my MMO career? Absolutely not. It's okay, but for some reason it clicks. I don't know what it is. I don't know what Daddy Bezos has done, but this shit just clicks and works. The combat to me is just okay. It's not just the most incredible thing. It's certainly not ESO bad. but it's not like Guild Wars 2 or WoW good. I'd say it's maybe just above Final Fantasy in terms of its combat. The questing to me is just go collect chests, kill mobs. That's basically it. Run around the world a bunch. And that's kind of it. To me, what really elevates it up to this point for me, holy shit, the crafting feels like RuneScape.
Mm-hmm.
I have not felt like this in so like. I literally just want to get on the game. Like, fuck fighting. I just want to like go cut down some trees. Like tonight, after we get done recording this, I'm going to literally get off here. I'm going to open up New World, hope the queue isn't going to butt fuck me, and then I'm going to go cut some trees. I'm going to mine some boulders. I'm going to find some iron ore, and it's so relaxing. The way the gathering intermeshes with the actual crafting is super clever. It works well. You can go gather without having to think necessarily about everything you're going to gather. It's just going to kind of work together.
And all of it grants XP.
And all of it grants XP. You could literally just level up off of it. Certainly slower if you're going to craft. It's like you can still be helpful and useful with gathering and crafting. You can attribute as you go on. You can sell in the trading post. It's just, to me, they have the makings of a really good MMO here if they build on it properly. At its current base state, if you were to leave it like this, it'll probably die in about 6 months. But if they keep grinding and building on this, as I think they hopefully will,
they've shown they can make a lot of content very quickly.
Exactly. Then I think you're going to be okay. And I think you're going to have a really good, fun new MMO here. Because it's not a perfect MMO, but for some reason, all the sides kind of round out. And it just kind of works. It fits. It's satisfying. It makes the happy juices in my brain just click. And I happen to have a really fun time with it. It's been a blast.
I'll jump in right on that because I've been playing New World as well. I really, really like this game. And I am not at all surprised to see that it had a successful launch. As you guys know, I was saying for a long time that this game is going to surprise people. It's going to catch people off guard. And they're not going to realize how good it is, how good it's been, and how much improvement, crazy amount of improvement they've made over the last year. It's insane. Like, they've put more content in the development phases over the last year than WoW has done in forever. It's crazy. Like,
Matt,
in a year
alpha,
cycle.
Right? You played in the alpha.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but I've been involved in New World for a long time. Okay. I'll just say that. And
I'm just guessing.
You're just guessing.
For legal purposes. I did ask. And
so they've made so much progress over the last 2 years, but specifically over the last years. It was about 2 years ago, probably, when they made the decision to not be the full loot PvP MMO anymore. And now it's more of a PvE MMO with a lot of PvP in it. But to make that sort of a change and to only have such a little amount of time to make those changes, it's crazy that it worked. And yes, the game is a little bit janky, but it works. It works really well, and we haven't had a major Western MMO release in a really long time, and I'm just glad that the one that we have gotten is as good as it is. I like to describe this game as a jack of all trades. It's not really great at anything, although I really do think the combat's very good. I do think the combat's really good. But it's a jack of all trades in every way, which means that it just does everything pretty well. Like you talked about the gathering and the crafting. It's really, really satisfying. And like you said, it is shades of RuneScape. And that's what people love about RuneScape. The combat, and I haven't done PvP yet, but I've watched a lot of streams of it. It looks pretty competitive and fun, and I can't wait to get into that. I'm really happy that it's doing well. I thought it was going to do well, and I'm really happy to see that it is doing well. And I think it's very interesting that this is the first MMO in a really long time where it's the first MMO ever, really, of this scale that we're going to see live numbers for, because it's only on Steam. It doesn't have its own launcher. It's only on Steam, so we're going to see how many people are playing this game. And as we've seen, it's peaked at around, I think, close to 1 million players at one point a couple days ago, which is nuts. That's absolutely insane. Concurrent, right? So it's crazy. It's a $40 game.
Considering how many people were playing Q Simulator 2021, that's pretty amazing.
Exactly. I mean, this is an MMO. It's buy to play.
$40.
$40. There's no sub.
Nuts.
There's an in-game store that, as of right now, is only cosmetic stuff. I'm sure it's going to get a little sketchier as time goes on.
But they have said they're going to wait a bit for
Right.
people to get in and level up a bit first, so as not to ruin that. Simply.
Like I said, the game's a little janky. I've had a few bugs with UI. I picked the Covenant faction, but at one time I logged in and your little PvP icon in the bottom right, it gave me the wrong faction icon. It gave me the purple one, which is Syndicate, but it gave me the wrong icon. I've had instances where the world didn't really load. I saw like trees, but there was no ground, and so I had to reload the game. Jumping is janky because jumping was only added like a few months ago. Like there are things like that. There's no swimming. Your character just walks on the bottom of the ocean. Like stuff like that's
probably one of the worst parts of the game, honestly.
Yeah, it's very strange, but I think that those things will be fixed. They've shown that they've been very quick to make updates and to take player feedback. They've been taking player feedback maybe more than any other MMO I've seen, and so I think they're just going to keep building off that. But New World, super exciting. I'm having a lot of fun in it, as Josh is, and I think there's a ton of potential here. It is a really, really good base for an MMO. It just needs to have enough endgame to keep players playing for a long time, and it doesn't at the moment. But again, WoW didn't really have an endgame when it launched. A lot of MMOs don't. So it's coming, I'm sure.
Yeah. Also,
I played Kena Bridge of Spirits. I love that game so much. Check out my review on the YouTube channel. And then today I started playing Far Cry 6. Review is hopefully coming at some point, maybe early next week. I'm enjoying it. It's more Far Cry, but it feels like they upped the game, specifically with the story aspects and equipable items. And there are cutscenes, like third-person cutscenes. Our character is actually a protagonist with a personality again because they have a voice. I picked the female Danny because from what I saw, she was just by far the better voice actor. Her animations were better, so I've really enjoyed it so far. And yeah, I mean, it's if you like Far Cry, you're gonna like Far Cry 6, I'm sure. But we'll talk about it more in my review whenever that comes out.
I saw the mention of the Jack and Daxter team potentially going to like Kena, or Kena team getting Jack and Daxter.
Yeah, so I some context. I floated this. Well, I didn't float this idea. I saw someone float the idea on Twitter, I think, of Ember Lab, which is the team behind Kena, being acquired by Sony and then taking the Jack and Daxter IP. And I know Josh is a big Jack and Daxter guy. So what were you going to say about that?
Mainly just after watching your review and kind of watching gameplay, especially after you mentioned Jack and Daxter, I think it'd be a fucking fantastic fit.
I would love it.
It has me excited for the potential of that.
I would love it. I also kind of just want Ember Lab to like continue to do their own thing because they have shown that they're creative, but at the same time, like, I don't know, like Jack and Daxter coming back in this sort of DreamWorks Pixar way could be kind of cool.
Coming Jack and Baxter.
Ooh.
Hey, my man.
It's a scuffed version of Daxter. His brother Baxter.
Baxter. He's Daxter, but he walks backwards and is
he's just a badger. That's all he is.
He doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Actually, he only says lines from Gex.
Great.
This is like a party at Jerry Garcia's house.
Oh, what have you been playing this week?
What have I been playing this week? Well, I forgot that we didn't do the show last week, and I feel like you were kind of like dropping a little bit of that. So I will say I did play Sable, as I've mentioned. Review coming soon. And soon to the old school Blizzard soon.
Yeah, soon TM.
So we'll see about that. But yeah, that was fun, interesting. I have a lot to say about it. I won't say it here, but I will say it was one of the most excited I've been to start a game. Like the first hour of playing that game was one of the most engaging game experiences I've had in years.
Nice.
And then it changed. So anyway, I don't know, maybe for the better. Anyway, you'll see more in my review. It's coming soon, TM. All right, so what did I actually play this week? Not a lot. I've been running around a lot this week. Haven't been home too much, but I will say, Rachel and I we finally got back around to finishing watching Gilmore Girls. Great show.
I love that video game.
It's a great video game. Well, no, but it's not that. The last seasons are terrible. So what I did, play video games while we're doing it. Rachel playing some Sims 3, the goated Sims, fuck Sims 4, and I am playing. And I am of course playing. I don't know what the fuck am I playing. Well, I decided to pick up Teamfight Tactics again because I find auto chess is really good for when I'm watching a show. So I put a good few hours into TFT this week. I've been trying to not play Riot games again because I'm just fuck Riot, but also TFT is so good and I just don't care enough. So I played some TFT. It's not Blizzard. That's my new thing. It's hey, you're not Blizzard at least. So I played some TFT. It was fun. I remembered how shit I am at it. There's seasons, so sometimes different heroes have different allegiances and they change that stuff. So sometimes there's a Dawnbringer category, but sometimes there's not. And certain heroes change their allegiance to different categories depending on the season. This season, I don't really like any of the categories very much. I didn't find any of them were super steamrolly. And I'm shit at the game, so it was kind of hard for me to get anywhere. I think the highest I placed was 3, maybe 2. But I have won before in previous seasons, not very often because again, I'm shit at placement. But yeah, I think Matt, you said before that you'd like to play auto chess more if you weren't shit at you didn't have to
If I was smart, I would like
the shit about where placement is. Yeah,
I feel you, brother. I feel you.
Me too.
If I was an intelligent person, auto chess would be really
what
fun.
items go well with what character? I don't know. In fucking League, you tell me what ones are good for what character. Tell me in TFT. It's the same fucking shit. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, I don't know. I try, and it gets the blood going. I did, however, accidentally, while trying to queue for TFT, a couple times queue for a match of League. So because of course because I did, you get in shit if you leave the game on your account. So I just stayed and kept playing the League games. It was okay. I haven't played in a long time. It was fine. One of them was Ultra Rapid Fire, where you just get unlimited mana and can just fucking go crazy with all your abilities, which is pretty fun. But I kept picking the wrong champions because I just haven't played in a while, so I didn't know who would be and everyone keeps picking cheese champions and fucking my shit up, which sucked. And I did play a couple normal games, and yeah, they're all right. It was fun to get back into it a little bit by accident, mostly. But yeah, I think I'll probably be playing a bit more of that again. I know you hate it, Josh. I don't love the toxicity, but I do like the general gameplay loop. For a few rounds, and then I end up getting pissy, or just realize how shit I am, and then I stop.
Yeah, game is good. Community, actual dog water.
Yeah, the worst community I've experienced in a game.
Unironically.
Yeah. I played some bad phone games while watching Gilmore Girls as well, but they weren't worth mentioning. They're all really fucking bad. I kept trying to play all these stupid story games, choice games. Anyway, they were all really fucking bad. Just a quick shout out to anyone making those games. More male protagonists, please. I feel like every romance choice game on your phone is you're a princess being or you're you find out you're the princess of
Paul's trying to find his prince.
Yeah, well, and I just I want a Prince version. Rachel plays this one. This is the top one of all of them, called Choices, stories you play. It's the most. It's by this company Pixelberry, and they make all these stories. She has a VIP membership. She pays monthly, so they get so she gets all the diamonds and stuff. She can make diamond choices. It's a whole thing. Anyway, the point is that shit's cool. But A, it costs a lot of money. They're one of the few that has male protagonists, but then the stories are kind of I don't know. They're not super good for the males. I feel like some of the other ones are a little more interesting, but what are you going to do? And last but not least, I just want a little shout out. This is not something I played, but since I keep talking about Rachel and I sharing our playtime, I will say that sentence could do some work. I will say that I was, she's always sitting playing the same Sims 3. She's a Sims 3 super fan. And I always kind of go, it's Sims 3. It's, playing games. Rachel is a certified super gamer. I pale in comparison to her game ability. She may only play The Sims 3 and WoW sometimes, but holy shit! I looked on her EA account. I looked on her fucking EA Origin launcher or whatever yesterday. She has 5,000 hours in The Sims 3.
Holy fuck, dude!
We are all but mere hands.
Wow. It's a lot of time in the Sims.
I saw it. I was like, what the fuck? I was
Holy
shit. I was like, maybe you only play one game, but you were a bigger gamer than I have. I don't think I have 5,000 hours across every game I've ever played.
She can speak Somalian at this point.
That's that's some Mike's levels right there. Mike levels of hours. I feel like
I'm always fascinated by people who play one game. And like they just really love that one game and they're really good at that one game. That's always fascinated me. I kind of wish that could be me. Of course, it wouldn't be very good for this show.
Yeah, I know.
but it's always fascinated me. If I was really good at one game, like, wish it could be like Hearthstone or something like that. But you know,
so you can make money on.
Exactly.
No, I told Rachel at some point we'll have to have her on like as a Sims expert or something because she fucking knows all. She knows all. So it's pretty. I now know every character who lives in Sunset Valley, and what house they start in and who their relationships are with. So I know a lot.
Soul. Yeah.
Barufi Barishna.
Kabatabi?
What is this? Ubby Dubby?
Arrest.
Just because you mentioned League of Legends, I watched Mike stream a little bit of Heroes of the Storm last week.
Hey, I should get back into here.
It's actually a fun MOBA. I wish I could really get into it because it probably is my favorite MOBA if I had to choose
we
one.
played a bit of Heroes of the Storm, man. And we had a lot of fun, I think, actually. I think that you liked that more than you did League.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the problem was we played with our buddy Spencer who got me into League. He's like a big League player.
He's big
and he didn't like Heroes of the Storm as much because it wasn't as like...
It's not League.
It's not as sweaty, like you have to... like there's not as much like pick your build and do all this and you get like you're like the top. It's more team-based. It's not for him.
Blizzard, why did it take you so long to build a MOBA?
And then why did you abandon it immediately?
It was built in your own game.
Yep.
All right. Move on. New minigame, quick time questions. I know in the notes I sent you guys, I call it rapid fire question. I'm renaming it quick time questions, like quick time events. A little more.
Oh, or I was thinking like quick time, like we're watching trailers on apple.com/trailers.
Oh, God.
In quick time questions, I ask our panelists a series of opinion-based questions, and they have to give me the first answer that pops into their head as quickly as possible. We're going to cycle through panelists with different questions, but sometimes I may tell the next panelist the same question, so they'd better be ready. If you don't give an answer quickly enough, we pass the question off to the next panelist automatically. There are no winners in this game, only losers.
Wow.
I mean, to be fair, there's no winners in this game, only losers. So, or in this podcast, sorry, was what I was going to say. I used that game. You know what? Just play the friggin' game.
We take quick time questions from our $1 plus supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/Goodnight Groofs, where you can message us your suggestion. Are you guys ready for this? This is quick. This is rapid. All right?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. I need you to give me answers as quickly as possible.
So you're going to say who it is, though, right? You're not just going to like...
I am. Josh, worst video game to play with a first date?
Halo Combat Evolved.
Paul, same question.
League of Legends.
Paul, game developer you'd least trust to watch your dog for a weekend?
Blizzard.
Josh, video game character you'd least want to be in the same room with?
Arbiter.
There's a theme.
Halo themed episode.
Paul, gaming news website that would be the first to report on what Phil Spencer ordered for dinner last night?
Kotaku.
Josh, Twitch streamer most likely to disappoint their in-laws?
Asmongold.
Paul, gaming YouTuber most likely to hit the front page of Reddit for embarrassing reasons?
Pass, you gotta move on. It goes
pass to Josh. Pass to Josh.
Jesse Cox.
Josh, Mario character you'd least want to have a beer with?
Wario.
Oh.
Paul, Cortana's favorite song?
Robot Rock by Daft Punk.
Same question, Josh.
Ocean Eyes by Billie Eilish.
Yeah, I think so.
Josh, what kind of car does Todd Howard drive?
A Prius.
And the final question, Paul, what is Activision Blizzard's new one-line purpose statement?
Please.
This is such a good fucking game.
All right. Very good. We'll work the kinks out, and we'll come back with another version of QuickTime questions in the future.
That's gonna work well with the 3 peeps too. I think it'll be good.
That's good. Oh my god.
All right, let's move on to audience questions now. These are not. You don't have to. You can take your time on this. You don't have to answer it quickly. Every week, we address 2 or 3 audience questions, comments, or concerns. We take questions from our supporters over on Patreon at patreon.com/Goodnight Groofs. Leave a question in the comment section of the Leave a question in the comment section of the previous episodes. Post the $1 tier will get you access to question submissions.
I was gonna buy some gum with that $1, but this is more valuable than that.
Value.
Now, if you don't have $1, that's okay. We also take submissions at gamegroofs@gmail.com and in the YouTube comments. You don't even have to have an email address, but our patrons will always receive priority. Someone in the comments, leave us a question, an audience question. For the love of God. All right.
Just say something mean about us. We'll talk about that too, man.
Yeah, I'll turn it into a question.
There you go.
Shit talk.
Why did Paul's father walk out on him?
Okay. First question. From John Hammond. What does your ideal dinosaur video game look like? Paul, let's go to you first. What does your ideal dinosaur video game look like?
Yeah, so I had a lot of trouble with this. I asked Rachel what she thought. We had a little talk. Ultimately, I decided on, well, her first answer, by the way, just so you know, was Zoo Tycoon with dinosaurs. I said, "Baby, I got the game for you."
Yeah,
the Jurassic Park video game that's out right now. You're set. No, for me though, I just said it, and I'm not going to belabor the point. Conan with dinosaurs.
Oh.
I want Conan Exiles with dinosaurs. I know, don't yell at me. I know it's Ark Survival Evolved. I don't care. Ultimately, I want something that's polished like Conan. I want it to not be as janky as Ark. I thought that game was really cool. I like the dinos in that. It's a little too much, a little too many systems.
Yeah.
I just want to build my little base. I want it to literally be Conan. I want to build my base. I want it to be as barren as it is there. But instead of tigers and rhinos and horses, it's dinosaurs. I can ride the dinosaurs, I can tame them, and I can have them guard my base. There's dinosaurs, and some of them are so big that like the majesty of coming upon them in the world is amazing. The T-Rex could maybe take your base down. Sure, make them bigger, you know? But ultimately, I think a world like that where you're just kind of finding resources and trying to live and trying to start your life, like you're almost like an I know these timelines didn't match up in real life, but like an early like caveman or something. And then you come across fucking dinosaurs and you have to try to survive. And I know that's Ark, but I'm saying I want it to be Conan, but Ark.
All right. Josh, your ideal dinosaur video game.
Hear me out, boys.
Okay.
Battlefield 2042. Imagine 32 players on the other enemy team. You have all the jets. You have all the tanks. You have all the Humvees. You have all the crazy shit Battlefield 2042, but you got fucking Velociraptors. You got fucking Triceratops. You got fucking T-Rexes, Stegosauruses, fucking... what are the big fly ones? Why can't Pterodactyls, baby.
Pterodactyls.
Like, just imagine, but they can take down a jet with like 2 hits or something. Like, to me, that would just be the neatest shit. Like, just having to fight like hordes of dinosaurs in this like super modern futuristic equipment, but they're like super strong. I don't know.
You've given me a good idea. Titanfall, but instead of fucking mechs, it's dinosaurs that you ride.
Just imagine it's time for Rexfall.
Yeah.
Goddamn T-Rex falls. Sky.
It breaks both ankles.
Just immediately breaks.
No, they lower it in on like a big helicopter. It's wired up. It drops.
So this dinosaur warfare plot was actually one of the Jurassic Park 4, which became Jurassic World, was going to be this dinos used in warfare plot.
Well, it might be the third one, because in the second one, all the dinos fucking escape into the world again. So maybe we'll have dino warfare.
Well, hope not. My ideal dinosaur video game is a first-person survival horror game, one that can be played co-op, 4 people in a group. Maybe, you know what? Ideal dinosaur game. Let's just be honest. It's taking place in Jurassic Park. You're lost. You're in the park. Something went wrong, obviously, and you got to find
Alien Isolation, but with Velociraptor.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But co-op. Right? You're trying to get back to the base, but you have the dinos coming after you. You know what?
Dead by Daylight with Velociraptor.
There you go. Sure. All right. Next question.
I love that.
I hope it happens. I hope it happens. There are rumors of something like that happening. And if it does, then that's apparently my ideal dinosaur video game.
Boom.
All right, next question. This comes from a frat bro. What's your favorite party game? Paul, what's your favorite party game?
What's the domain name for the email? Is it at blizzard.com? My favorite party game. I had to think about this for a while because I don't do a lot of social gaming, and it's been a while. So I had an honorable mention, but I will say so I'll honorable mention our mini golf game that we loved. I've said it before. It's a great party game. Just play around, goof around, chat with your friends, and
Shout
play
out
a
to
little
Play
bit
For
of
You.
some real scuffed play for you mini golf. But I would say the game in modern times that I've had the most fun with in a party game would be Jackbox. I love Jackbox. It's a lot of fun. It's just a goofy game to play with your friends. I find if we all hang out and someone puts it on the TV and we all pull our phones out in a physical space, that's really fun. It's fun to play it online. I just think it's a blast. It's the closest to playing like I don't want to like suck the dick of Cards Against Humanity too much. It was funny when I was like 18 and we played like 3 times. But I will say, ultimately, it's kind of like that vibe. You know, it's fun to do that and get around with your friends and goof around and say like ridiculous shit. So yeah, that's my top. I know there's like better games, but that's pretty cool.
Josh, what about you?
Gotta say, the old honorable mention of Jackbox, even if I've done it on stream, Jackbox is just fun as fuck. But if in person is what I'm gonna go with, which I am, Smash. I fucking love just like getting with the boys, getting rowdy, fucking jerking each other off and playing around to Smash. It's like the best thing ever. It's just so fun. It's goofy, like, and then inevitably one person in the group gets really try hard and sweaty and wipes the floor with the rest of them, and it just becomes unfun. Sorry, boys. God, I just love Smash. It's great.
I think for me, it's probably Mario sports games. I haven't liked any of the new iterations, but the older games, you know, it's tough. Like everyone's here is going to mention Jackbox. I wrote it down as one of my options. But the Jackbox games can be really hit or miss. Like some are really fun and some are just like, I'm not enjoying this at all. It can be really one way or the other. And there's really no gray area. I feel like for all the Jackbox games, I either love them or hate them.
And the answer to every Jackbox question is patreon.com/goodnightgroofs.
Of course. Yes. I like a lot of the original Mario Party games, but I probably prefer Crash Bash. And then along the lines of that specific kind of game, I really want to try Pummel Party on Steam. It's essentially like Mario Party for the PC.
Oh, I remember you wanting to get into that, yeah.
It goes on sale a bunch, and I think even when it's not on sale, it's maybe only $20 or something like that. So I bought it. I've never played it. I don't have a group of people that have Pummel Party, so don't know why I bought it. I think you can play online.
Send us an email if you want the Groofs to play Pummel Party. We'll figure it out.
Pummel Party on the old Twitch.
And you can know exactly how much we make.
Yes, which is absolutely nothing.
Yep. The value.
All right, we're moving on. Tickle My Listicle. In Tickle My Listicle, the panel puts together a list to fit around a certain topic, and then we discuss our picks right here on this show. We'll take turns sharing our picks for each round until we get to our number one pick in each category. This week's Listicle is as follows. Our top 3 foods or drinks to have when playing games. Thought this would be a little bit interesting to talk about. Let's go to you first, Josh. What's your number 3?
Speaking of drinks, one sec. I just spilled mine all over by fucking mistake. I need to clean this real quick.
Oh shit.
Mamma mia, this is a big mess. Oh fuck. Okay, luckily there's nothing like electronic near here. It's just gonna make my fucking desk stickier and fuck it.
Satan's foreskin.
I'm gonna leave some of this in.
Please do, yeah.
You know what? The rest of it'll be soaked up by that fake Amazon wood. It'll be chill. give me my cue and we'll talk about drinks again that I fucking spilled.
All right, let's try this again. Josh, what's your number 3?
The old number 3. I'm gonna have to give it to a good Saturday morning 10 a.m. coffee. Just hits different with a little bit of chilling.
I might be changing my list right now.
I know. What the hell? Like, I didn't even think of that.
You're number 3.
Well, you know what? I know what number 1 and 2 are. I'm not 100% sure about what number 3 is, but let me come in. I don't know what the joke was. Here's where I'm coming at you here. I'm coming in with a very boring. I thought this was obvious, but you know what? It's not obvious for everyone. I'm coming in with plain old H2O water. I just guzzle water in my daily life. I drink, I would say 2 to 3 liters of water a day at least.
Jesus.
And while I game, I just sit and I'll just like I have this like this isn't even that big a water bottle. I've had bigger. I don't. I've had bigger. Please note for the audio listeners that I winked. But yes, ultimately, I will say that I just sit here, and if water isn't, I have a problem where with like drinking, especially water, that if I have it beside me, I just keep drinking it. I can't like let it sit there all day. So if I have this, I just keep drinking it, and when I play games, that's just usually my go-to is just to bring my whole bottle of water and just down it in the gaming session, or this podcast session. So yeah, top number 3 for me there.
So because I'm a absolute degenerate who hates water, my number 3 is flavored sparkling water.
Number 3,
topical.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what brand. We just buy what's ever on sale, and each brand has their own good flavors, their own flavors that I don't like, and so we just pick the good ones and have a good time. Flavored sparkling water. Didn't think I'd ever get into it, but I did. Here I am, shilling for flavored sparkling water.
And it's actually why we started doing soda facts on GG Replay.
It is.
I think because we started questioning if AHA was Pepsi or Coke, and then that started this kind of rabbit hole of deep soda facts.
Yeah.
Adulthood is really exciting.
Yeah. Josh, you're number 2.
Gonna have to give it to we'll specify. I'm gonna give it to Bullet Rye. Just sipping, like, let's call it a good chill Saturday night or long day at work. You pour a neat Bullet Rye and you just casually sip on it, or you drink half the bottle in a night, depending on the day you had. It's great.
Very nice, Paul.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back in with another drink since we're talking alcohol here. I'll come in with something I wasn't sure I was gonna put on my list, but I'll come in with an Angry Orchard apple cider, or really any hard apple cider. It's not something I'll always sit and drink by myself while I'm playing a game, but sometimes on a nice chill night. But often too, when I'm playing with friends, when I played with you, Matt, oftentimes when we were sitting and playing like long nights of Sea of Thieves, I'd have a couple ciders and get a little goofy, and because I'm a lightweight, and it was a fun time for me. So that's my go-to alcoholic drink, and it's definitely my go-to. I have a couple different modes, but my laid chill back mode is cider.
Get Paul a couple ciders on the high seas, and he starts getting all wild and crazy.
Absolutely.
My number 2 is gum.
You like some gum?
I'm a big gum chewer, so I enjoy a good munch on some gum, some sugar-free gum. When I'm in thinking mode for my games, I like to chew on some gum. Almost every time I get into my car, I chew on gum. It's kind of just a habit at this point. I don't really like eating food when I'm playing games, to be honest. So it's got to be something else, and gum fits that bill.
I've only recently found myself getting back into gum. Actually, I was off gum for a little bit, not like in a bad way. I just kind of wasn't chewing gum, and then I've recently got a big pack of some 5 gum, and I've just been going through it. Matt, I want to know though. In fact, everyone, what is your favorite flavor of gum? Your go-to standard gum?
Spearmint. I pretty much always get spearmint.
I always spearmint is my absolute favorite gum. Peppermint is for fucking degenerates, as Josh would say. Not that you'd say that, but that's yeah.
And I would, to be fair, spearmint is the goat.
Yeah, and spearmint is clearly the best mint.
I get the icebreakers ice cubes.
Nice.
Oh, the
crunchy. I would get cinnamon as a treat.
Ooh, I haven't had cinnamon gum in forever.
When we were kids, I feel like Big Red.
Yeah, a lot of Big
some
Red.
Other cinnamon was a lot like there was cinnamon
burning
gum
my
popular.
fucking mouth off. My dad would be like, "Hey, have some." I remember
Big Red was so mild.
Random story.
This mild curry is so spicy.
My dad and I went to the YMCA. We were driving home. I told him I'm thirsty. We didn't have anything to drink. He didn't want to stop at like a McDonald's to pick up a drink. I understand. Whatever. He's like, drink your own spit. And so I tried doing that.
Here, take some gum. That'll help.
Didn't really work. And then eventually I was like, Dad, I'm out of spit. What do I do? And he's like, I don't know, chew on some gum. So he gave me a piece of Big Red. Didn't really help. Just burned my fucking mouth off my face.
A brief look into Matt's abusive childhood.
Can I have a little sip of water? Chew some gum.
My dad's a great man. I love you, Dad.
Drink your own spit.
Drink your own spit. You ain't great. You think I made a McDonald's drinks over here?
This was before people like took a water bottle to the YMCA and filled it. Yeah, it's, you know, I'm old. All right, number 1, Josh.
We gotta give it to a beer. I mean, how could it not be beer? To be specific, gonna give it to a craft hazy and/or sour IPA, like the punk bitch hipster that I am.
All right, very nice, Paul.
Okay, so honorable mention real quick to Lay's potato chips. I don't eat while I game. I don't like to eat while I game generally because I don't like. I'm a real chronic hand washer. I wash my hands very intently. If I eat anything, I only eat it with my left hand typically. And like I just always have my right to like for my phone if I'm scrolling or I'm using my computer. I'm doing something. I usually like to like do something entertaining while I'm
look
eating.
into Paul's brain.
It is, and I've taught myself to only use my left hand as my eating hand. So that's what I eat with.
Are you left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed. So I use my right hand to like scroll my phone, go on the computer, do whatever, and then my left hand. It's like in India or like I don't want to specify, but like certain countries you like shit, and you used to in the very old days would like wipe with your left hand, and then no one would like shake left hands because it was like bad, and that was the whole thing. I left hand is my dedicated
wiping
get messy hand. No, yeah, it's eating and wiping, and it is not necessarily in that order. No, it's my dedicated eating hand. I know it's fucking weird. So I will, eat with that hand, and then I'll, immediately when finishing, I will eating.
No. Between the cultural lesson and the masturbation, this has really been an eventful Game Groofs podcast. Game Groofs.
God damn. When I am finished eating. I will immediately wash my hand, or I will let it like sit here like this or something. I won't touch anything with it because it'll get all greasy, or whatever.
Like a claw.
Sometimes I'll sit there like with my hand up like a claw or something, just
like a doctor going to surgery.
Wash my hand. Do you concur? Yeah. So then I go wash my hands and then I can go about my day. So in that scenario, I'm pretty fucking grossed out by touching my food hand onto my keyboard or onto my game controller. I will do it in a pinch, but it's not my favorite thing to do. So sometimes I'll have some chips, wipe my hand on my pants, hope that is enough to keep the controller from being greasy. So I am definitely not a food eater. This was an honorable mention, but it really got down the way here. My actual top pick is a good old these were really in a good order in general, but my third pick is Red Bull. I'm a big Red Bull drinker. I drink Red Bull on the old GG Replay podcast to get myself hyped up. And I like coffee. I like with you guys. I do like having a nice cup of coffee. But generally, I just like in the evening. I find that coffee will keep me up hours and hours and hours. Red Bull gives me a jolt for a couple hours and then I crash. And wings. And so I get a couple hours and I crash with Red Bull, which is good. So I'll often have Red Bull at night or in the evening more than I would a coffee. And I find that I had coffee tonight, if you can tell from the excitement. But that's pretty good, and it always kind of gives me like a couple hours of gaming before I'm like, holy fuck, my eyes can't stay open, and it's a good move. So that's one of my faves, and I just love the flavor of it too. I like other energy drinks, but nothing to me hits that flavor of Red Bull. It is my favorite carbonated drink as someone who doesn't really drink soda.
You mentioning chips really brought me back to our childhood because you ate so many potato chips back in the day. So you were always eating potato chips.
Always. And I will say, I don't want to jump on you one more time, Matt. I don't want to like bogart your answer here, but really quickly, I just want to say shout out as well to our friend Spencer. Often when we were 14, we had this thing called the lazy meal. We had this whole lazy system. Do you remember this, Matt?
Yeah,
we talked about this. And it was Friday night. We lived in different places, but we grew up together, and we lived. Me and him and Matt would all get on Skype and we'd play WoW and stuff together. Spencer and I had this thing where we'd come home. We had these specific robes we wore. We call them our lazy robes. We had like a specific setup we had in our computers, and then we get what we called the lazy meal, which was like at that point it would either be like pizza or whatever bullshit we would get for dinner, lasagna. It had to be something fucking good, and then we get chips and like a drink, and that would be like our lazy snack. And we had this whole system, and we always like referred to it as this. So that was when I used to eat a lot during gaming, but it has not been since then. Yeah.
And also with a little insider info here with you drinking Red Bull, the first time I ever saw you was you pounding a Red Bull on camera.
That is true. We had a really embarrassing photo of our
attempting
buddy
to.
coming to my house, and I insisted we chug our Red Bulls because I thought like I never had Red Bull, and I thought it was like maybe I was like 14 and thought it was like, oh, this is like drinking, right? It's pretty badass. I was like, let's chug these things back.
It's like shotgunning a beer, but for preteens.
Yeah, and I couldn't chug it, and I was like embarrassing, like in the middle. And then I still have the video. It still exists. You sent it to me, Matt. You had it, and you sent it to me. I still have it. And then you both made fun of me in the video because you were on Skype, like on the speaker in the video, and we could hear
oh yeah, that's right. You can hear me being like chug.
Yeah, and you going like, "Congrats on wasting your Red Bull, you idiot." So yeah, that was a long convoluted story of my snack history.
Anyway, my number one is a good old Basic Bro IPA.
Hey,
my man.
Just like Josh there. Now, Josh and I were discussing this the other day, but I gotta like lay off the IPA because like it's so heavy, and I've gained weight, guys. I've been gaining weight. I got to be honest with you. I'm going to the gym now. I've got a little bit of a beer gut, so we're going with the Bud Lights.
Are you actually going to the gym now?
Yes. Today was my second day of this week, and
hey, I'm thinking of going back too. Love it.
Yeah, going to the gym a little bit. Getting on the elliptical. I'll do like 20 minutes on the elliptical, and then I'll lift some weights, and then I'll finish with like 10 minutes on the bike just to round it out.
I love it. I got the. I'm sure you do too. I got the skinny guy gut, and I've had it for a couple years, so I really like to shave that off. So.
Yeah. It's been getting bad. I weigh the most I've ever weighed right now.
So
boys. I feel you. I'm just fucking fat.
I think there's something about that where it's just like you own. It's like the whole vibe, right?
It's just.
I think there's something when you're like a rail, and then you just have like this bump in front of you, and it's really stupid.
That's the worst thing about it is I have like incredibly toned legs for no goddamn reason at all, and then you come up and it's like, all right, welcome everyone, barrel. It's like, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Yeah, love it. I love it.
My body's so weird. I got these long ass skinny arms and then this gut. It's weird. It's strange.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. I got this skinny ass thing and then I got this gut. Like it needs to go.
God bless my wife. All right, moving on to the
same, bro.
Yeah, I'm with you. All
right, let's end this show with a special shout out. Each panelist is going to give a special shout out to any video game character of their choice. Provide a quick reason why the lucky character is getting this attention. I'll start mine off. Shout out to the Rots in Cana Bridge of Spirits for being absolutely adorable. Just the cutest little characters. I love them so much. Paul, your special shout out.
Well, you know what? I was thinking of shouting out our favorite video game protagonist out here. Shout out to Sonic the Hedgehog.
No.
You know what you did.
Josh's shout out.
Shout out to Khadgar for getting the fuck out of the WoW story before it really turned to shit.
And he's actually a pretty shit wizard.
Yeah, the shit wizard.
It's true. It's true. Knowledge is power, after all.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the Game Groofs podcast, the all-encompassing gaming podcast from us, the Goodnight Groofs. If you really like the show, we encourage you to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs, where we currently have 3 different tiers available. Any and all support is greatly appreciated.
Matt, sorry, can you tell me what the dollar signs for those tiers are? How much it costs?
Oh boy.
I have exactly $9 burning a hole in my pocket.
Wow. Okay. $9.
Well, USD.
We have a $1 tier, a $3 tier, and a $5 tier. But if you want to put all $9 toward the $5 tier,
what I'd like to do is get one account with $5, one account with $3, one account with $1. Is that allowed?
You can do that, I think. Different accounts. Yeah, that's a lot of value. And also, but if you get the $5 tier, you don't have to be like Paul. You can just pay $5, get all the benefits.
I guess if you're some kind of fucking loser.
All right. Any and all support is greatly appreciated and will go a long way in improving everything here at the Goodnight Groofs.
$9 tier, baby. That's all that's appreciated.
The $3 plus tier will get you access to this show, this very show you're listening to right now, 2 days early. You could have been listening to this on Friday, you imbecile.
Oh, shit. Just in. Xbox Series X in stock at Best Buy for the first time in Canada in weeks. I just got my... Oh, it's out of stock. It's too late. Too slow.
There it goes.
A special shout out to all of our patrons currently supporting us in the $5 plus tier, Ishmael S. and The Sims 3 legend, Rachel S. Round of applause, please.
Love to see it.
5,000, baby.
We also ask that you take a couple minutes to drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or leave a like and comment on the YouTube video. Everything helps. Now, we're really doing this 5-star rating campaign, so if you could really help us out, go into your Apple Podcasts, type in Goodnight Groofs, and both Game Groofs and GG Replay will come up. Those are the only 2 results that are going to come up if you type in Goodnight Groofs. 5-star reviews for each of them. We would be so appreciative, and we'll read the review on the show.
It'll take 10 seconds, and even if you just give us a 5-star rating, if we can somehow see that you did it, we'll even read your name on the show. I don't know, anything. We'll
just, give you a big old kiss.
Big old kiss.
We will be endlessly appreciative, I tell you.
Make sure to check it. Make sure to check out.
Keep going.
Okay.
This is now interrupt Groofs. We just constantly try to interrupt each other.
Isn't it always?
Make sure to check out goodnightgroofs.com for all of our content, where you'll find the blog, GG Replay, this podcast, reviews, and more coming soon. Oh, guys, any last thoughts?
The American dream is dead. Give up.
That'll do it for us here today.
Hedgehog, just a little update on what he's got to do. Gotta go faster.
No. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I don't know. Take care, everyone.
Good night, Groofs.
Bye-bye.